Hey guys, Brandon Dawson here from the Tribe of Christians. Today is Sunday, July 27, 2025. I had a very alarming dream early this morning that I want to share with you guys. I want to ask for your prayers, your comments, your feedback on this because I don't know if this is what is going to happen or not. I do not know if this is indeed prophetic or not. Just the only way we're going to know is through time itself. Now, this goes back just to give you guys a little bit of context, especially if you're brand new to our channel. This goes back to a publication I made on our website and on all of our social media channels. I've talked about this so many times. October 18th of 2022, I had a prophetic dream and I saw a new decree that was being issued through the sign of a plague, a second plague. I don't want to go into too much detail on this for time's sake. However, this dream, there are multiple different things that occurred in this dream, multiple different signs that have occurred in this dream. One of them having to do with the inauguration of President Trump. The other one having to deal with the war that's occurring in Israel with Gaza, with the deadly Hamas attacks. Because in the dream where I saw the edict, that dream was occurred on October 18th of 2022. And in that dream, I saw elements of war, of weapons of war, ancient weapons of war that told me that this was a war that was having to deal with something that has been going on since the beginning. And so exactly about 1 year from that date, from October 18th of 2022, October 7th of 2023 is when Hamas launched their attacks against Israel. So there are multiple elements in this dream that have been affirmed to me over and over and over. So I have been speculating and trying to interpret what this pandemic could possibly be. What would be the method? What would be the virus? How it's going to target? Because, again, for those of you who've been following my ministry for a while now, know that I accurately saw the first pandemic and accurately predicted it to the very day of when it would begin, including not just when the first case would be detected in the United States, but also when the mandates, the shutdowns, all those things would also begin. Predicted it to the very day. The Lord also told me why it was happening. It was having to deal with two main purposes. One of them having to deal with the attempts to divide the land of Israel, the Peace Through Prosperity plan that was announced January 28th of 2020. On the other part of this was having to deal with late-term abortion that was passed in New York back in January 22nd of 2019. And so I've had dreams going back to 2017 that predicted the nature of that pandemic. This one's been completely different. Now, I understand the why it's happening. Again, having to deal with Israel, having to deal with attempts to divide the land. And so, however, I have not seen the impacts, the type of virus that it's going to be. I've only been speculating, and most recently I have been speculating that it would possibly be bird flu. However, the dream that I had early this morning was something very different and, in my opinion, far more terrifying than bird flu. I'm going to go ahead and get into the dream and share it with you guys. And again, I'm going to ask for your prayers, your feedback, your thoughts, anything of that nature that might be able to help us to gain more understanding behind this thing. So anyways, the dream began, I was in an airport. I don't know what airport this was. I was just in an airport. I was going somewhere, and this was kind of weird because there was a layover. And so there was a movie theater inside of this airport. So I decided to go and watch a movie while waiting for my layover. I don't know. I think there's maybe 2, maybe 3 airports in the United States that actually have movie theaters in them. I don't know. One of them was in Portland, Oregon. So anyways, so I sit down to begin to watch this movie, and then something horrifying begins to happen. And I'm sitting all the way in the back row of this movie theater. I didn't want to make an entrance coming in. I don't even know what the movie was. I think we were actually waiting for the movie to begin. So anyways, I'm sitting there waiting, and then I start hearing bits of murmur, and it starts growing into complaints, and then like the noise starts going up. So there seems to be something going wrong. I don't know exactly what it was. No, but you hear all this commotion beginning to happen. And then I look down at myself, and I see rashes beginning to form on my arms. And then, so I begin to become really concerned. And so in the row in front of me, I saw a row of elderly people sitting there, and they all had rashes as well. However, this wasn't anything new. They came in with these rashes, apparently. And so immediately I began to discern, while this is taking place, I had the understanding that these people believed that they had some, maybe like, what was it, the shingles or chicken pox or the measles, one of those type of things. That these people believed that it was one type of virus, and so they were not afraid of it, and they didn't think it was a big problem or anything like that. And somehow I was able to discern that they were having these parties to build immunity with other people against this virus. However, it would take a much horrific turn, because I was able to discern, I can't explain it, but I was able to discern that these people had it wrong. That they believed it was one type of virus, but it wasn't. It was something much more severe. This was only the beginning stages of it. So it started with the elderly, with middle-aged people, and they were having these horrific rashes all over their body. It reminded me of chickenpox, or what the measles outbreak looks like. So people were mistaking it for that. But what happened, so people started to begin to panic when they found out what was going on, and they were afraid of this virus spreading and infecting other people. So people were fleeing out of the movie theater, including myself. So as I was leaving the movie theater, trying to get out, I suddenly saw these massive big whelps of boils beginning to form under my skin. And I knew that this was something far more worse than what people thought it was. And so these massive boils began to form under my skin. I was terrified of what this thing possibly was. And then I don't know how to explain it, but I saw major airports all across the country were shutting down because of this thing. And then I saw the mandates coming back, kind of like what happened in 2020. Well, I saw closures happening all over again. And I saw police in this video in this dream. Seemed like I was watching a video, but I saw the police in here trying to enforce quarantines, just like similar to the first pandemic, COVID. So the mandates came back. There were quarantines happening in places, and the police were involved in these. These shutdowns were happening all over again. And that was essentially the gist of the dream. I also saw people who were buying up the disinfectant sprays. They were spraying it on themselves. They were spraying it everywhere. I saw massive panic buying again. So I don't know what this thing is, but from what I saw in the dream, people mistaking it for something else. They thought it was something much less serious, and then it turned out to be something very extremely serious, and it led into these massive boils and these infections. And so in the dream, it was possible that this thing was spread possibly through airborne. It wasn't 100% clear. All I know was I was sitting directly behind these people, and I caught it. So it could have been spread through contamination from through sitting in the same place where someone else was contaminated in, or a combination between contact / airborne, one way or the other. I don't know. It could be a possibility of both. One thing is clear to me, though. This is the first time I had ever seen anything remotely close to this. Now, one of the possibilities of interpreting this thing concerning the timing of it, when it may possibly begin, may very well have something to do with the actual date of when I had the first dream about the edict that a plague was coming in the first place. Because I've had it in the past where I had a vision at a certain time at a very specific time and date, which predicted the very timing of when that event would occur. For example, September 6th of 2021, on the Feast of Trumpets, on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, I had an audible vision where I heard trumpets sounding. I heard the sound of an army marching, and I heard the word Ararat spoken, which is the mountain in Turkey that's associated with Noah's Ark. And it's also, that area also being associated with the Gog and Magog war. And so this occurred at exactly 5:24 a.m. on September the 6th, 2021. It's published on our website, on our channels, all over the place. So I prophesied that vision to mean that war was coming with Russia. And so exactly, again, this occurred at 5:24 a.m. that morning. So exactly 5 months from September leads us to February. And then on the 24th day, as in 5:24 a.m., on February the 24th, Russia launched its invasion into Ukraine. So it's possible it could be one of those type of things. If it is one of those type of things, if that's the very case, then October 18th of 2022 is when I had the first dream of the edict that this plague was coming, this pandemic was coming. So if that's the case, then that would mean the timing of this thing could be right around the corner, occurring beginning in October of this year, October 2025. Is this thing going to happen exactly the way that I saw it? Well, this is the first time I'm seeing anything of a pandemic in nature of the virus itself. I don't know. I can't say 100% certain. Only time is going to tell. But what I do know for certain is that, yes, anytime we have attempted to divide the land, or anytime massive things are occurring in the nation, such as what happened in 2019 with the late-term abortion, we know the consequences will definitely follow, sometimes immediately. Just in the case, again, it was just a matter of 2 or 3 months when things started happening from the time they tried to divide the land. And so this thing, absolutely, we know it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Consequences are absolutely on the way. And I believe this is also a bigger picture. It's not just about that. I do believe that this possibly, just like how 2020 was used to develop these systems of control that play into the beast system, very likely that this thing serves the same purpose, that they'll extort the same thing for purpose of control, of power. And we know that this could impact the economy, and it could lead to the development of these digital systems, or these other systems of control that go along with these mandates. So, guys, I try the best that I can to get the information out to you. I do my best to be as specific as possible. I get emails all the time from you guys asking me when this is going to occur, how to prepare for it exactly. I'm just like you. I don't really know anything different other than what I see in these dreams. And we can only really speculate. Time will only tell. So my encouragement is just to pray about this. Do your research, your due diligence. Ask the Lord how to prepare, what to do in these situations. And I do have some videos on our channel that help to show how you guys can prepare for disasters such as this. And also, in the case of additional coming mandates, our ministry does offer vaccine exemptions. So those are only for people who are members of our ministry, and you can sign up right there on our website through tribeofchristians.com if that's something you wish to do to maybe protect you and your family in the future. So should these mandates come again, which I believe that they will. So anyways, guys, I'm going to ask, pray about it, seek, do your research and seek the Lord in this. And I'm going to ask for your feedback, your comments as well, what you guys think. And as always, keep running your race. Keep finding the good fight faith. Stay encouraged whatever you do. Don't lose hope and never give up.